Crosby, Gensel on the right. He scores! Jake Gensel!
Hundley holds, steps up. Hundley sacks T.J. Watt. NFL history. Watt has tied Michael Strahan's single-season record. Oh, no.
In the air to right. This is deep. And he did it again. Jack Sawinski wins it for the Pirates. 3 home runs in a game.
Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studio, right here in the Municipal Building in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching our show. We appreciate it, the great feedback and interaction. If you're on TV, go to Pittsburgh Sportsline channel, and we're live streaming there also. And we're live streaming like we have for the last couple years on Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. Thank you for your comments. I try to answer them all. For some reason, I don't see everybody that's on, nor do I always see all the comments. So if you're making comments and I'm not bringing them up, I'm usually not seeing them. Or we're in some deep conversations like we were last week. So, we appreciate you. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine, Smoking Jim Frazier, and a little drum roll. Chip Hayner is now the new Lazarus of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Welcome back, Chip. You want to say a word?
Yeah, I'm like the phoenix that rose from the ashes.
I'll call you Lazarus. You rose from the dead. All right. Well, we got sports to talk about. Nick VIP Callis is with us. Also, Harry Callis of 93.7 The Fan. And thank you for watching us on Comcast 21. Chip, it was always Comcast 7. Comcast snuck a change in us a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago, didn't tell us. So now it's Comcast 21, like Smoking Jim on Steel City Sports World. I'll mention all these other competitors. No competition. But you can watch us on Comcast here in Bethel Park only on 21. Verizon 32 in Bethel Park, and all the way from Nemacolin, Cranberry, Wexford, City of Pittsburgh, and the greater Pittsburgh area. So thank you for watching us in all those areas. We're at like 6,900, and I saw the other day it said 79, then I saw it was down to 20-something with the amount of likes. Nick's muted right now. We're not letting him talk right away with VIP.
I just don't have a microphone. Hi. Hello.
We share the mic once in a while. Unlike Smoking Jim, at Gateway, they share jock straps and mouthpieces.
Well, they
He's
had one
told
for
us.
the whole team?
Yeah, yes. No, they had 2, offense and defense. All right, we got some great promos, and we're going to go do the promos right now. Pittsburgh Sportsline supports the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Strikers. I worked there for 36 years. My former union, CWA PPMWS 14842, Pittsburgh Local Mailers Union number 22, is on strike. Even though health care benefits were secured for workers by the union, Post-Gazette management cut them out without the union's approval and still expected workers to show up without any coverage. Please cancel your Post-Gazette subscriptions online or in print. Pittsburgh Sportsline supports the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Union Strikers. Frank Fanera, owner of Olive Oil's Pizzeria and the Hillcrest Shopping Center on Route 88. Call them at 412-831-1900. Every Tuesday night, Olive Oil's Pizzeria provides the host and the amazing volunteer crew with an XL pepperoni pizza and a full steak hoagie. They are delicious. Olive Oils is proud to support Pittsburgh Sportsline and the volunteers at BPTV. Stay Joey strong. Joey Fabus died at 8 years old of brain cancer known as DIPG. Since then, the family has come together with community members to create the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit. Since being founded, They've raised over $100,000. Go to jfccf.org to learn more about DIPG, to help spread awareness, and to see how else you can support and donate towards the fight against this dreaded brain cancer. Always Be Smiling, a 501c3 designed to help children and families in need of kidney transplants. The B stands for Bennett, whose memory is embedded in this organization by his parents, Kristen and Dean. Despite the challenges he faced in his 16 and a half years of life, Bennett always had a smile on his face and spread kindness to everyone he could. Now, Always Be Smiling wants to pass on that kindness. Go to alwaysbesmiling.org to learn more and see how you can support or donate to this organization. The Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you. I'm Al Levine, trustee on the board of this great organization. The BPCF focuses on raising money to provide scholarships, grants, endowments, and more. Grant requests are available online from $100 to $5,000. You can also attend fundraisers or donate. Go to bpcf.org to get more information and to stay up to date on upcoming events. The Bethel Park Community Foundation, focusing community resources, building for the future. The Bethel Park Historical Society is a 501c3 that serves Bethel Park. The Historical Society operates out of the Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, located at 2600 South Park Road. Look for the red and white trolley right out front. Reginald's Coffee is inside, and I've heard it's the best coffee around. To visit this great historical venue, email historicalsocietybp@gmail.com.
And now this message from BPTV.
Alas, poor talking machine. I knew him well. A fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy?
Dave, I'm not dead. I'm still doing Pittsburgh Sportsline every Tuesday night and many other weekly shows on BPTV.
That's great, Al, but then who's this?
I don't know, but we must leave right now. Let's go. Help save Pittsburgh police officer Jeffrey Crawford. Jeffrey is in need of a kidney donation. He's in stage 5 renal failure and he's on dialysis 3 times a week. He needs this kidney ASAP. To contact the UPMC donor registry, call 412-647-4438 or go to livingdonorreg.upmc.com. And to help spread awareness, use the hashtag #BlessJeff on socials. Let's come together to support Pittsburgh policeman Jeffrey Crawford in his time of need. Alex Reed is in need of a kidney. 2 weeks after college graduation, Alex's kidneys failed. A gracious donor gave Alex 7 years of life, but now he needs another kidney. To learn more about becoming a donor for Alex, call 830-285-2140 or go to kidneysolutions.org. Zhang Taekwondo just opened a new location in the South Hills, along with its location in Wexford and its inclusion in the curriculum of Provident Charter School in Troy Hill. Zhang uses Taekwondo to teach its students confidence and self-discipline through physical fitness. Zhang is offering a 4-week special. You get a uniform and lessons for $30. If you mention the Talking Machine, Smokin' Jim, or VIP Nick, they'll give you a further discount. For more information, go to zangtkd.com or call 724-934-9264. Zhang Taekwondo Bridgeville invites everyone to come celebrate its 1-year anniversary on Friday, May 19th. Warm-ups start at 5:30. A class for all ages at 6, a professional demonstration at 6:30, then a social at 7:30. Pittsburgh Sportsline will be there to cover it all. Zhang looks forward to seeing you at this milestone celebration. Wow, what a job Nick VIP Callis did. He made all those commercials. How about we got Johnny Mariano in the control room? We got his nephew Marco's back from his band trip. And his dad, he brought Big Mike in, who was a chaperone down there, I think. But I didn't get the updates.
No.
He said no.
He just enjoyed it.
Yeah, he enjoyed Myrtle Beach. I was a chaperone for my daughter on a band trip 2006. So we had a great time. Paul Haley's watching. Chuck Chief McElroy's watching. Ralph Williams is watching. Ralph said hello. Chief said, welcome back, Chip. Missed you. Ralph Williams says, welcome back, Chip. Paul Haley, welcome back, Chip. Bill Means, I went to KO with him. One of the toughest guys from KO. Amy's watching. Hi, guys. Welcome back, Chip. Glad you're feeling better. Margaret Rohde, Nick and Peggy Rohde watching from Rochester, New York. Woo! Thank you.
Love that. Oh, that's his parent. That's his parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hence R-O-D-I, Rohde.
Well, he just told me now. That's all.
That's what I've said this for the last month or two that they've been watching.
That I missed it. Sorry.
Sometimes he's young, he's 24, soon to be 25. We're invincible then, and that happens. Paul Haley watching on FB in South Carolina. We appreciate the former Bethel Park resident, Paul Haley. He remembers the farmland that was around here and he was living. Smoking Jim can't even comprehend that, Paul.
Still look like farmland.
No, and you know my grandfather developed a fair amount of the
No, I know. You've
housing
told me.
plans off of South Park Road.
Tell them your grandfather's last name.
Barone.
The Barone family. I met a couple of his cousins when they had the real estate office where that school shut down on Baptist.
There's street up here named after my grandmother. My aunt.
Say their names. We honor them.
Carolina Drive, Algene, and NRA Circle. Those are named after my mother, her two brothers, her sister, and her mother.
Well, I have just one question. Is one of their names Inner Circle? I'll leave it go. All right, we got What's on Your Mind? Smoking Jim Frazier.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you got the sea.
Oh, and Smoking Jim, I saw the George Foreman movie. I recommend it to all of you. And Smoking Jim, you should watch it twice. They had a guy, Myron Cope, going, down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Nobody will do Howard Cosell the way Howard Cosell.
Well, I just do my poor imitation. Down goes Frazier.
Well, I tell you what, Al Levine, the talking machine, it was somewhat of a sad week for me because I felt like a piece of me is gone. Vida Blue passed away.
Who sent you the link?
And I tell you what, Al Levine, the talking machine, I can see me throwing my fastball, striking out an inning, and I hear the crowd yelling, Vida Blue, Vida Blue. My coach taking me for Dairy Queen after the game and says, give Vida Blue anything he wants.
Before I do my disclaimer, you said your coach. If you can tell me the coach's name.
I don't know.
Okay. Disclaimer, he never pitched. He didn't know until Chip pointed out that Vida Blue was a left-handed pitcher. He's only emulated throwing right-handed.
And he was one of the most dominant left-handed pitchers of the early to mid-'70s.
So you know how I looked on the mound as a right-handed Vida Blue.
3 back-to-back world champions, 72, 73, and 74.
Is he in the Hall of Fame?
No, he is not.
Okay.
Mario Tempest said, Smoking Jim, a Pirates jersey, and the pirate hat. Yeah, we question it too. Marla Shatner, a friend of mine's watching. Thanks for watching. Randall Bogart said, by the way, Guns was the toughest cornerback in the whole league. Hi from Sarasota. Thanks again for tuning in, Randall. We appreciate you.
Was that the City League?
Yeah. All right, Smoking Jim, you're up.
All right, Al Levine, the talking machine.
And he was white.
And he was a white corner. Hey, Al Levine, the talking machine. All I got to do is say this, man. I'm not giving up on my 7 losses in a row, Pittsburgh Pirates.
Disclaimer again. If he's not negative, he's not talking. The nicest guy in Pittsburgh media is negative. Why wouldn't you say they're still in first place? Hold it. Why wouldn't you say, because you don't know they're in first place?
And I'm going to sacrifice
place,
my
Buccos.
time for his fans. Everybody wants to hear what the man has to say after 6 months. Big hand for Chip Hainer. Tell us about the Pirates.
Wait, I got to do that thing. Mario said before Chip goes on, good to see you, buddy. And Randall Bogart corrects it. City League and East Conference, USA, Semi-Pro League, no one hit like Guns. Amy gives us an update. She doesn't understand that we all watch and follow baseball, football, and any sport, even tiddlywinks. Pirates won yesterday. So, Chip, that's the kickoff to you.
That's the kickoff to me. Well, it is great to be back, and I very much want to thank everybody for all their kind thoughts. I also want to give a little shout out to Guns for filling my seat, and in his opinions and his insight were absolutely awesome, and I want to personally thank you for filling my shoes while I was on hiatus. So hopefully we'll get the debate at some point or another in the future here, but thanks again. Also, a lot of people that were checking in on me, specifically Amy. Amy messaged me almost daily for a while. I didn't always return messages because, the healing process, it doesn't happen as quickly as
There's a little
you would
distraction.
like. Some days you feel better than others. So I'm heading in the right direction, and so pretty soon I'm going to have this all behind me, and everything's going to be good. So a couple of things I want to touch on before I get on to the Pirates. The rule changes in Major League Baseball. I have been very loud proponent of hating the DH, and I still do. I don't think it makes the game better, but then again, that's my humble opinion. Some of the rule changes that were made this year have really benefited the game, specifically the pitch clock. I think it has made the game much more enjoyable.
Gasp.
The players are engaged. As a fan,
I'm with you 100% on the
last
pitch
night,
clock. Yeah.
the Pirates and the Rockies played a game, 9 innings, 2-0 Pirate win, 1 hour and 57 minutes. Both pitchers were dealing. I was completely riveted by the game. I couldn't get up.
Well, Chip, that's the last time since 2007 when they did an hour and 55 minutes, I think it was.
Well, and it's the first game the Pirates starting pitcher pitched a complete game shutout since 2018.
Yes.
So there's things
Different
going,
monumental
there-
things.
there's
We're
things
stat men in the baseball.
I am always going to hate putting a runner on second, starting in the 10th inning. I think the game should just continue to be played the way it was always meant to be played.
I agree.
What's he know?
And I do firmly believe that there is collusion going on in baseball right now.
You better explain it, because I used to say it with my
Between
union and the company.
the-
I need to hear this.
Between the bum of a commissioner,
Yes.
Rob Manfred, and I don't have a very high opinion of him, nor the last commissioner,
Hence, bomb.
and the Major League Umpires Association. I think Rob Manfred wants the automatic strike zone instituted in the major leagues next year, and I think the umpires are deliberately calling strikes on balls that are in the other batter's box in the interest of resolving
Making
them
it quicker.
of the obligation of having to call balls and strikes correctly. So, this is just like, okay, so we had to ban the shift so that people didn't shift. Instead of Major League Baseball players just hitting opposite the shift and making the shift obsolete, we have to put a rule in for it. Well, how about if the umpires were held accountable? Like, what is Angel Hernandez doing having a job as a Major League Baseball umpire? But that being said, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I do believe that the automated strike zone is coming, and I can tell you this right now. I hate it, and I'm always going to hate it. But other than that, let's get back to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Alan can confirm this. I spoke to him before the season started. With the signings that the Pirates are having and the things that were going on in spring training, I told him that this Pirate team reminds me of the Pirate team of 2011, which was Clint Hurdle's first year as manager. Now, go back 1 year. 2010 was one of the worst Pirate seasons I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, we all talked
John
about
Russell was the worst manager. He had absolutely no energy or enthusiasm for the game, and the Pirates lost 100 games, and the most games they lost by a couple of touchdowns, okay? So what happened in 2010 was we started seeing prospects from the Pirates minor league system named Andrew McCutchen, Neil Walker, Pedro Alvarez. We were able to draft Garrett Cole. And all of a sudden, a buzz started with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the Pittsburgh Pirates were actually contending for the division crown as we got into June of that year before they nosedived, okay? And it was a couple of years away that they actually finally broke through, winning season. One of the greatest games I ever witnessed, October 1st, 2013, the Cueto game. But this Pirate team, they have found out in the month of April that they are capable of winning Major League Baseball games that count. Now, what they have found out in the first week of May is that it's not so easy to win baseball games in Major League Baseball. The mistakes that they were not making in April, they're making now. And this is all part of the growth process. Because we've got a young team, we've got a couple of strong veterans to lead these young men. McCutchen, Carlos Santana, what a signing he was.
Right.
He's done real well. Big coup for Bob Nutting, signing Andrew McCutchen, signing Brian Reynolds, and Mitch Keller on the morning show this morning announced that the Pirates and he are negotiating a long-term contract, which finally the Pittsburgh Pirates are showing that maybe we're going to take some of this homegrown talent and keep it instead of them watching them go to the Tampa Bay Rays and become an all-star. Or go to the Yankees and become an all-star. So
and other teams.
I'm very excited for this year. This year is going to have ups and downs. Is this Pirate team going to win more than 81 games this year? I find it doubtful, but they're going to win significantly more games than they won last year.
We got a bet.
And
he's betting 84.
Well, you know what? I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong. And
I got a quarter on the line that it's under 81. So.
But I mean, the Pirates got a long way to go. There's a lot of holes in the pitching staff.
Yeah.
Injuries have bitten them. Luis Ortiz is pitching tonight.
Yeah, but Chip, to interrupt you, look what the Pirate pitching, both of you and I were pitchers, unlike Smoke and Jim. They've overachieved. Look how many games that they've done 6 or more innings. This is more than they've done in years. And they've shown good starting pitching, which we didn't have.
For example, Sunday, Roansy Contreras, he's actually got a wipeout pitch. It is a swing and miss pitch. His slider is pretty much, when he's on with his slider,
awesome.
It's an unhittable pitch. But he got smacked around on Sunday by Toronto. Why did he get smacked around? Because he threw more curveballs than he threw sliders, and he was hanging curveballs. And every curveball he hung in the strike zone got taken for a ride.
Well, have Smoke and
you know,
Jim
but this
explain what a hanging curveball is.
This is part of the learning curve and how you learn how to win. You know, you got to go with the stuff that works. Okay, maybe your slider isn't you're hitting every day. Your fastball sets up your slider, you know, and if you use your curveball judiciously, it doesn't get ridden out of the park. So
Well, that's why you have numerous pitches.
lots of things to be positive about down at PNC Park this year. All the Bob Nutting haters, eat it.
Well, Chip, we confirmed some of that. I still don't know who the owner is while they're playing well. I watched more Pirate games in April than I watched in the last 2 years.
I've watched every one so far.
Yeah, but you do that consistently, good or bad.
Yeah.
I'm a disgruntled fan who's happy with the play on the field, and I like players overachieving and having no respect from everybody.
The thing I like most about this Pirates team, is that you got guys that are running, stealing bases, taking the extra base on a base hit. You've got people like Andrew McCutchen, 35 years old, Carlos Santana, 36 years old, that are hustling out infield hits and turning double plays into single outs. You know, and if your elder statesmen are putting in that kind of effort as a young player, that's how you learn that, you know what, you hustle.
Was they doing it the last 8 games?
Chip, ignore him.
Well, I can
He's
I
Mr.
know you said it was up and down.
Are they in first place or not?
To answer your question, okay? I know you want to make a joke. What they did in the 7 games while they were losing, they were making all the mistakes that they didn't make in the entire month of April. Okay? It was simply they were beating themselves, playing poor offense, untimely pitching lapses, and the bats went cold.
Is this what we got to look forward to in May?
We're going to find out.
When you're throwing 2 strike breaking balls right down the middle. No, I speak to your point. I mean, no, I agree.
I got a hanging curveball over here.
You can't
You
throw.
don't even know what a hanging curveball is.
In Oviedo's case, you can't throw 2 strike sliders right down the middle.
Tony
So I'm with you.
Tony from Chick-fil-A wants to qualify this. He goes, "Good to see you, Chip. Why is Smoking Jim clapping his hand about baseball? The one sport he has no knowledge in. LOL." He proved it, Tony from Chick-fil-A. Go ahead, Jim.
Tony from Chick-fil-A, I'm going to put him on the spot later, okay, about a sport that he does know something about. So that's
Whoa, coming attractions. We got Randall Bogart, the friend of Guns. He said, "I heard Smoking reference white cornerbacks." No, Chip referenced white cornerbacks. And come to think of it, Guns was the only one of 2 starting corners in the National Semi-Pro League who was white.
Wow.
So, okay, we got to move on from Chip. What's on your mind? We're going to Nick VIP Callis. He's all mic'd up now. He's allowed to talk on Pittsburgh Sportsline. What's on your mind?
Well, admittedly, I didn't think you would have caught wind of the White and Blue news. I'm not going to lie. That was going to be what was on my mind
I texted
initially.
him.
Well, then there you go. He knew.
And guess what he replied back?
What he-
Nothing, because he didn't know who it was.
Oh.
He didn't.
Well, yeah, but moreover,
Sorry, Smokey.
moreover, the big story of the day. I've talked about John Gruden before doing dumb things, and then he's not the Raiders coach anymore, right? Okay, now we got Bob Huggins doing not great things. And
Racist comment.
homophobic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
Let's just dissect this for a minute,
The
right?
F word.
Because we're on
I
radio,
misspoke.
and he was on radio, and you're in a public forum, and you're making comments. So I heard some theories that people thought he might be drunk or under the influence of something. And here's my opinion to that, and here's my opinion to anything that you ever talk about in public or on a vast electronic medium like television or radio, again, which he was on. So if you're comfortable enough to say certain things, I mean, you can say things in private, and it's fine, not really fine, but nobody knows, that you're talking about it. But you're comfortable enough to talk about these things in private and then bring them to a public radio show and kind of just out a certain group of people for no definitive reason. And in that case, the world doesn't like that, and much of the nation is upset about it. Because, again, these are people that we look up to, right? Like, I've talked about the NFL before, how cash cow it is, right? Big money flowing through. So we look up to the athletes, we look up to the coaches.
No, we
And in this case right now, we look up, or at least West Virginia and a lot of the NCAA basketball community looks up to Bob Huggins because he just got into the Hall of Fame for college athletics, right? He is looked upon as a big figure in West Virginia. And you got this man slapping around with 2 radio hosts who kind of just went along with it, whether they were doing it because they were uncomfortable or that they were fine with what he was saying. Like, that's also doesn't look great, does it?
Nick, can I
And so,
interrupt you for one?
no, hold on.
Do you think they
I didn't
baited
even
him?
develop the point yet. Hold on. I'm almost
Do you think
done.
They baited him.
Still fleshing this one out. So I'm just saying, when we look up to these people and when we watch them do these things, again, I don't care where he was or what under the influence whatever he was under the influence of, how comfortable he felt. The fact is he felt comfortable to say that. And you out there get to be the judge. Are you okay with somebody being comfortable ousting, generalizing, and using certain speech to bring down a generic group of people, like a generalized group of people? If you are, great, you can support him staying at WVU.
It's more specific group.
If not, though, I mean, if you're West Virginia, do you stand for that? Do you support kind of just slapping around these comments, and are you going to condone that? And that's a decision for WVU to make. If it were up to me, I would can him, but it's not me. I just know what he was saying and what that meant to the community, to the WVU community, to the sports community, and to all the people who he upset. And that's really it. Don't put yourself in that position. And don't be comfortable just throwing this stuff around willy-nilly like that, because what you're saying has a meaning. And it's not a good one. That's what's on my mind. Okay.
And then I got
Do you think, and I know that there are radio talk show hosts that are capable of doing this, that they baited him, and that the conversation started heading in a direction, and they kind of like, you know,
You can't
kind of nudged him on. You know what I mean?
You can't bait somebody into using that language, though.
Let me interrupt you.
You're absolutely right.
They did a poll with all the coaches and basketball people. Who would you like to have a beer with? You know who won that poll? Take a
Huggins.
guess. He won the poll 3-4 years in a row. He's a very personable guy that they want to have a beer with. Imagine that connotation with him being an older guy. Anthony Bacco's watching, and he said, times may change, but morals never will. Makes a point, and then Randall comes out. Huggins was wrong, but that generation talked that way often as a joke. They should not ruin the good he's done. And that's part of what I wanted to bring up, being old school. We have now different eras where we go 100 years ago. Why were people like that? Why was racist so rampant? And then there were good people that were against it. Now we have it with different communities, and we know what we're talking about with gay men. And you have a specific group of people that had a bad connotation for hundreds of years, from England all the way to here. How do you break that down? We're all trying, you're trying, and you believe that, but some, I used to call them, they're just hard-headed. They grew up with that, and they can't cope with what's going on today. Is it right? No. Are they wrong? Yes. Should there be some type of punishment? Maybe to give him a guide rail, that if he passed that guide rail again, that he be gone. Because I believe everybody deserves a second chance, and you should never demean anybody. And that's what he was doing.
Well, I think-
whether it was for fun or not.
I think one of the points that Nick was trying to make was that he was so comfortable in just throwing that out there. Now, if that's the way he feels personally behind closed doors, that's his business. You know, and if that's the way you want to feel, you keep it there. But as a public figure, as the head of a
Here,
university,
Chip, let me go back to your roots a
you have
little
to be
bit.
held to a different standard.
Let me go back to your roots, being a bartender at Houlihan's. The conversations that I had there over 30 years, and the people that were there who were politicians, they were sports people, they were businessmen, businesswomen. The comments that I heard when people were drinking, they would never say it like we're talking today.
I think you're missing it a little bit, though. Here's all I'm saying.
Well, no, you can clarify me, but I'm saying if a guy was drinking and he's known for people want to have a beer with him.
There's no excuse.
No, I'm not saying it's an excuse.
No, I know.
But what you're saying, if somebody's leading into it, aren't you a little more laid back and maybe a little distracted
Never.
that you might?
I don't.
Have you ever drank?
Yeah.
And you were 100% cognizant of whatever's going around?
See, I have been, and that's what I don't understand about drinking either. That my experience of drinking is that I'm always I remember what's going on, and I understand where I am. I think that drinking makes people more comfortable, though, because I've said and done things that are a little bit strange, right?
Well,
you want to talk to me in private, I'll tell you some of the strange things that I've done. Never used a racial or homophobic slur, though. I've used curse words that have nothing to do with race or homophobia, right? So
you're 40 years younger than
no.
Huggins.
But I don't buy that. And here's all I'm saying. You are on a public medium. You are speaking to a lot of people. You're speaking to many people. And that radio show is famous enough that this got picked up, okay? So all I'm saying is that who do we want representing us at that high of a social stature? That's all I'm saying. Now, if you think that it was just a mistake and like, okay, they were slap happy and they're doing stuff and you truly believe he shouldn't be fired, that's cool. But I mean, what kind of values are we holding people at that this dude couldn't control himself speaking to so many people at one time?
He raised $25 million for cancer.
And that's wonderful. And God bless him for doing it.
No, I'm serious. And if that outweighs what he said, Smoking, you have your opinion. That's okay.
No, I'm just saying.
But-
that's
but-
one of
but
He
I think
doesn't have an
somebody in his
opinion one way or
position-
the other on anything.
I think the public perception is somebody in his position needs to be held to a higher standard. Okay? And he has to understand that the same mistakes that other people can make, he can't afford to make.
Well, Chip brought up earlier, he's the highest paid public official in West Virginia.
The highest paid state employee in West
State
Virginia.
employee in West Virginia. So imagine they're one of the smallest, poorest states, and he's getting paid the most. So what you're saying doesn't even apply to West Virginia.
Okay.
No, I'm just telling you that.
My point still stands.
Your point's allowed to stand. But I'm going by where people, like where Smoking Jim lives, supposedly in Monroeville. It's God's country, never has a rainy day.
No
we know
racism.
that's not true.
No racism.
But we let him go.
I've never experienced racism.
Well, you don't acknowledge when you're practicing it. So. What can I say? I got black friends that are racist. I got white friends that are racist.
What do you mean practicing? He perfected it.
Yeah. And then I got other friends that are sexist. So we've covered it all. And do I believe anybody should be demeaned? Nick, nobody should. Do I do that? No. Do I even think like that or talk like that privately? No.
It's been a
And
great
you
discussion.
got to wonder, like, what Smoking
Great
Jim
discussion.
talks about privately at night when he's not sleeping, hanging around after hour clubs. That's what I want to know. So we're going to move on to me. And, Nick, you made up some great points. I appreciate your perspective because we're old school guys.
Good
And
job. Good job, Nick. Good job.
Here, hit me in the head. That's how hard it is. That's my point. We're going to move on to what's on your nine. Young kids like that, so I don't mind doing it. So thank you. Pittsburgh fans, I was on this theme last week after Nick made a very eloquent little dissertation on sports here, and I had counterpoints to it. I wasn't picking on him. I was only making my points. Well, again, I've told everybody I've been a disgruntled fan. And this year, I didn't notice who the owner was. By the way, Chief says he doesn't like Nutting or Manfred. But he likes the Pirates. But my point was I watched more games like I've emphasized before this year. You know why? Back in the 70s and 60s when I was a kid, I liked the players on the field and what they were doing. So I like April hearing they're overachieving, like Smoking Jim did from Urkel to freshman year in Monroeville at Gateway. He was Urkel. How did he become a starting running back and run away from everybody because he was a scared Urkel?
No, I'll tell you why. Because he was Urkel and he had to get his butt whooped.
Now we got that clarified on verification. And my point is, the Pirates are in first place. They had 20 wins before anybody else in the NL. And they lose 7 in a row, and you have fly-by-night non-fans Smoking Jim saying, what are they going to do next? So I didn't complain about them losing 7 in a row or make a public statement, or the Pirates website, Facebook page always puts stuff up. Here's the mystery I find there, Chip. They put winning games up, but they don't put losing games up. And I just want stats in the order of fairness. But my point is, they came back. Keller pitched a great game. If they get him a long-term contract, I'm for it. And my point is, they're still in first place. And Smoking Jim, what month are we in?
May.
Okay, he's a fan now for another day. We'll see what they do tonight. But my point is, enjoy the game. Like, I love baseball. It's my first love. I like it. I like when they win better, like all us spoiled Steeler, Pirate, Penguin fans. And when they don't, we got to deal with it. So to me, enjoy the run of first place. Did you even think in May they'd be in first place. And if you tell me yes, except for Chip, you're lying.
And I will tell you right now, if you would have asked me, there's no way that they were going to be anywhere close.
And that's
to first
what I
place
wanted to bring up.
in May. But you know what? They're here in a 162 game season. It is going to expose your flaws. Some of them are being exposed now. That's something for them to work on and to get better at.
Well, here's how simple it is. Chip, you and I learned to pitch, and we became good because of practice and stuff. Smoking Jim never admitted he pitched or played baseball.
Nick was a pitcher too.
Well, I'm not.
I was
talking-
actually was going to say that. Thank you, Smoker.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get to it, but I had to address that Smoking Jim doesn't know what he's talking about baseball. So that's why we can get away with saying it. But when you first started, did you pitch very well?
Not very. You know what?
Me too.
You know what the thing was? I got smacked around real good, and you know what that taught me? That I had to get better at my craft if I wanted to continue to do it.
I was an ace from day one.
Well, you are an ace even today at baseball, and I'm not talking down to him, Nick. I'm describing what he described. It's like a donkey type of animal throwing a ball. So we're going to move on, and we're going to go to Smoking Jim again with Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. Here, let me interrupt Smoking Jim. Paul Haley come up one of the best comments we've had tonight. Smoking Jim ran so fast at Gateway because he probably owed money from bad bets. Guns said, hi, guys. Had a second. Glad you're on the men, Chip. Best of luck, guys. Play nice. LOL.
He was running from macaroni, Tony.
Yeah. All right, back to Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. I can't wait to hear his opinion.
Hey, everybody knows I've never gone to a class reunion. Anytime I go
What year did you graduate?
Anytime I go to a Gateway football game, I sit up in the press box. They got a luxury press box, all the food you can eat, great view. So I never get to see any of my former classmates. I remember when Terry Smith was athletic director, he wanted to put me in the Athletic Hall of Fame. I said, not till the team goes in.
Was that at Gateway or is that with Cal U?
Well, this weekend, I was humbled. Our team, our high school football team, 13-0, WPIAL state champs, number 5 in the nation, USA Today. We got inducted into the school's Sports Hall of Fame, and I tell you what, it was a sellout crowd. I didn't recognize any of my teammates. You know me. It's been that long.
Hold it. Tell me one teammate that recognized you.
It's been that long since I seen them, but
How long?
some of the stats that they blurted out was incredible. They had our pictures all over the place, man, but we only gave up 30 points in 13 games, which comes out to 2.3 points a game. Only one team got more than one touchdown on us in the game. We had 8 shutouts. Dan Marino got us for 2 touchdowns in the first half at Mount Lebanon Field for Central. We intercepted him 5 times in the second half. He was a punter. I took a punt back past his face in the second half. But I tell you what.
What year was that?
And after the game, my dad said that was the greatest quarterback he ever seen in his life. And we never watched films of our opponents. Our coach beat us half to death, barely gave us water. He knew we
Say
weren't.
his name.
And I tell you what, any of you 3 could have played on that Gateway team. We weren't big, we weren't fast, but one of the reasons y'all could have
Coach
played.
Marino?
One of the reasons you guys could have played was because I was the only black on the team, so you got the right complexion.
Disclaimer, he's not racist.
But the second reason,
he's a black man, and that's his
but
only
the second
opinion.
reason is you 3, along with Guns, will last 6 seconds longer than your opponents, and that's what we did. We refused to be out hit. We didn't
You stole
believe
my line.
That's why I did it, and we didn't believe that anybody could out hit us. And I tell you what, because of you guys and Mike, who the Steelers didn't listen to, with that 30-second pick, they could have really cashed in. But I tell you what, it was because of you that I stayed for the entire banquet. when I found out that there was another team that got inducted into the Hall of Fame before us, I almost walked out. Then I said, what would VIP do? What would Chip do? What would the talking machine do? So I sat there and ate humble pie.
Is it Bill Franklin's Penn Hills team?
So I sat there and ate humble pie, and that's what's on my mind.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And how long ago and what year was
year?
it? And do you know any of the students' names? Never mind. He's a silent man.
I'm going to Google Gateways Hall of Fame.
All right, this is the first time in many moons, and we got trivia time from Chip Hayner.
All right.
Okay, so the Pirates last year, they instituted the Pittsburgh Pirates Hall of Fame. And they had 22, was it 22?
19.
They had 19 inductees into the Hall of Fame.
Weird number.
And I was really, it was a really weird number, and B, I was a little upset
Me
that
too.
there were some people that should have been in the
We talked
introductory
about it.
class that were not included. Well, they fixed that, and they elected all four of them into the Hall of Fame for this year. Unfortunately, for one of the greatest athletes that Western Pennsylvania ever has produced. Before his passing, it was told that he did make the Hall of Fame, and he was greatly appreciative. I just really feel bad that he's not going to be there to hear the accolades of the fans. But the greatest
too.
athlete to have played sports in Western Pennsylvania is none other than two-time World Series champion Dick Groat.
From Swissvale.
1960 National League MVP, 1960 World Series champion, won a second World Series with the St. Louis Cardinals in '64. And just to give you kind of an athlete he was not only played in Major League Baseball, he also played in the NBA. He's in Duke's Hall of Fame for his basketball prowess. He debuted for the Pirates June 19th, 1952. His last Major League appearance, October 1st, 1967, San Francisco Giants. Career batting average 286, 2,138 hits, only 39 home runs, 707 runs batted in. But I believe that he was part of one of the greatest double play combinations the Pirates ever had with Bill Mazeroski. 8-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion, National League MVP 1960, National League batting champion 1960, Pirates Hall of Fame. Then he goes on to Duke. He was a point guard from 1952 to 1953. He was a third pick in the first round in the 1952 NBA draft. Wow. He was selected by the Fort Wayne Pistons. His career statistics were not great in basketball, but he was good enough to be drafted out of Duke to play in the NBA.
What a great athlete,
He was
right?
the UPI Player of the Year in 1952, Helms Foundation Player of the Year in 1951, Consensus First Team All-American 1952, Consensus Second Team All-American 1951, two-time Southern Conference McKelvin Award Male Athlete of the Year Award winner, two-time SoCon Tournament MVP, and number 10 has been retired by the Duke Blue Devils. And I just want to make sure that Dick Groat gets the recognition for the athlete that he was. And his golf course up in the Laurel Mountains, if you love the game of golf, play that golf course, you'll learn to hate it really quick. It's a tough course. I think the lowest score I shot on that course was 115.
Whoa.
Wow.
Hey,
And I've only played it a half a dozen times.
Wow.
Guns is making a comment. Chip, correct. Groat was the best athlete in PA to play both sports. Amazing. How about Chief? I was friends with his dad, Jimmy Mack Sr., and he said, my dad played with Groat and said he was the best all-around athlete he ever saw.
Wow.
Yeah, his dad played sports. And you want to know baseball stats, Nick? Jimmy Mack and Chief had statistics on baseball books, how they came out each year. They knew every major league player and batting average and stat. That's how much they were into it. So Chief's not an amateur. And Chief also made a comment to Smoking Jim. Marino graduated 1980. He's almost outing himself, folks. We're close. All right, Chip, thanks for your time. Let's go to VIP time with Nick Callis.
All right, let's talk about baseball. Woo! The Pirates won a game yesterday, right? We know that. They're playing tonight. Great. Okay, not telling you anything new. Anyway, let's talk about this for a little bit. Talk about officiating in baseball, because people are really upset, and it's odd. A lot of people are making excuses for the Pirates because of officiating. And that never happens, because they used to lose so many games. It's like, oh, well, okay, they're just bad. No, they're not bad anymore. And Derek Shelton got upset and said that he had been the most upset ever as the Pirates manager in the series against the Rays. Talking about the strike zone, you've already heard my opinion on the strike zone. It should be automated, and, it creates neutral play for all players. Right, great. Okay, you know that. But there was a blocking the plate incident, and O'Neill Cruz got hurt. I didn't talk about it too much at the time, but a few other blocking the plate plays have happened where it's been controversial. And let me just say this about that. Running over the catcher in baseball over time just seemed like a weird part of the game where, like, no other base could you really do that. Just run into people and it would be accepted. Most times it would be called obstruction if you were that aggressive toward a fielder covering a base. And over time, the way baseball has kind of progressed and evolved, right? You saw less contact around the bases. You saw less like aggressive tags. And over time, now we have a rule in place where the catcher's protected, where nobody can just get run over anymore. You have to slide and you have to go into home plate like you would any other base. And so to make that happen, catchers have to be held accountable as well. They can't obstruct home plate. And so when O'Neill Cruz got hurt, what he decided to do was he tried to do a little okey-doke with his leg, and the catcher blocked the plate when he had the ball. And when O'Neill Cruz realized he couldn't extend his leg anymore because the catcher was in front of him, then he hurt himself. So that was kind of his own doing, and that's not, great. But in terms of the whole rule, I mean, if the catcher has to go get the ball, the catcher can go in the lane, and the runner's going to have a way to slide no matter what. That's how the rule's designed. And the only reason why runners get called safe is if the catcher is in the way the entire time and not making a play on the ball. Now, a lot of people are upset, and there have been some bogus calls that I've seen, over its time where you don't understand it from what you watch on television or what you see on the big scoreboard after the play happens, because it's all hard to see in real time. Now we have replays, so it's a little bit easier to dissect and digest what you're watching and make an appropriate call. But in any case, I mean, it's a fine rule. It felt so weird that, every other base, none of this stuff's really happening, and then you get to home and it's like, yeah, run over the catcher because he's got gear on. That's why he has gear on, to absorb football hits. That's not why. It's because you got to catch pitches, and the pitches can hurt if they're mishandled or thrown, or if you have to block, right? They're there to make sure that you can block and not get hurt from pitches. So
Mention shin pads.
Shin pads, right. They help when you're sliding on the ground, getting form, right? I caught, you guys know that, but if you don't, now you do. I used to catch, I used to pitch, I used to do it all. I'm familiar with the form, I'm familiar with what what all the equipment's for and the procedure of playing that position, and the rules fine. I mean, it was in that way in high school forever, and Little League, and all the different levels I played at growing up. And so Major League Baseball is just kind of weird that it still existed for that long. So I kind of embrace that rule. You can be frustrated by it, and you can be frustrated for the Pirates not getting calls going their way. It's totally fine. Much better than everybody just expecting them to lose and not caring what the calls are. So I'm glad you care. But in terms of like strike zone, yeah, I hope that gets automated. But the players should adjust to the strike zone as it is to win games. Excuses aren't going to get them into the playoffs. And if a catcher rule ever happens again, just know that it's there for a decent reason. So that's the opinion.
The interesting you brought up the O'Neill Cruz thing. And when I was watching that play, the catcher had blocked the pitcher's mound side of the plate and had left the back end of the plate open for O'Neill Cruz.
That's what I'm saying. He tried to slide under his legs.
If he would have slid towards the dugout instead of into the catcher, he'd have never broken his leg.
Great point. That's what I talked with Drew about.
And that was just inexperience.
No, but that's part of it being young. So no problem there. We're running out of time. I don't know if we can sneak in on location. Johnny Mariano, you're doing a great job. On location, it's short and sweet for this. Been a great night. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for your feedback. We appreciate you. On location, Master Zhang has his Zhang Taekwondo in Bridgeville, 1-year anniversary, May 19th. You're all invited right near the LA Fitness and Chartiers Valley Shopping Center. Zhang Taekwondo at 5:30. We're going to be there filming.
Wasn't that the Great Southern Shopping Center at one time?
I think,
Oh,
yeah.
where the VIP used to be.
Yeah. Well, no, this is down below. Down below is Chartiers Valley. Yeah. VIP's up above, where Penny's used to be. Yeah. Now
We
that's
never
gone.
went there.
Oh, I went there many a time. Yeah, no doubt about it. One of the greatest places there. I even went to the North Hills VIP because they said you got to check it out in God's country out there. So I got to see it there. But yeah, come out to Zhang Taekwondo. We're going to be filming. And then there's a special Grandmaster Zhang challenged me. I broke 2 boards with the forearm. He said, I'm going to make a talking board breaking machine shirt if you can break 3 boards.
Wow.
So I got the challenge. I got to do a 3-board Taekwondo break. We're going to do that. We're going to film for about only a half an hour. They got plenty of events and entertainment. I think they even got an ice cream truck coming there. They're a great group of people. They got specials. If you're there and you mention my name, the Talking Machine, Smoking Jim, or Nick Callis, you get a discount on going there. So it'll be a fun day. You know, come out, what is that, Friday night or?
Friday.
Friday night, May 19th. So mark your calendars for that. Chip, welcome back. Smoking Jim, congratulations. And whatever racist comments or diminutive comments about winning or losing, there is his opinions. They don't represent us.
Can I touch on something I
Yeah,
teased
real
on?
quick.
Okay, here's my question for you, Jim. And this is about a sport that you know. Every major publication that I have seen graded the Steelers draft very highly. And of course, you gave your Steelers the highest draft I've seen in 13 years. You gave them a D. Why not a D minus? And what makes you think that their draft was worth a D when everyone else is saying that it's a much higher grade?
Well, for 24 straight years, I've been right. So in about 3 years, we'll find out if I'm right again.
Disclaimer again. Smoking Jim.
My 25th anniversary of being right.
One thing I got to put up, Chip posted up something on Facebook. Out of the last 20 years, drafts, the Steelers are number 2. And how has Tomlin had a non-losing season for 16 if he's a D-minus draft every year? And if Smoking Jim's right, it'll be his opinion for 25 years. Please stay Joey strong.